Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest First Point USA College Soccer webinar. My name's Ross Duncan. I head up the marketing team at First Point USA, and we've been delighted to be doing a few of these webinars with some good special guests over the past few weeks. And for today's webinar, we're delighted to be joined by Ross Alexander, a fellow Scotsman of mine. Ross is assistant head coach at Arizona State University's women's soccer program. So we're delighted that Ross joins on the call tonight. Hopefully you'll all understand both our accents. Ross has probably lost a little bit of his Scottish twang, but it's certainly still in there. We've got a few questions that we're just going to run through on the webinar. Hopefully get Ross's insights on his coaching career, involvement in women's soccer at the highest level in the States, and also kind of second part of the questions will be around his journey going from playing at the top level of kind of academy soccer in Scotland and making his own move to the States and playing at Grandview University and having a very successful career there, which we'll touch upon later. So welcome, Ross. Delighted you can be here with us. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, just to kick things off, you're obviously at a fantastic university out there. You've been there for 3 seasons. Just tell us a little bit about your role and how that came about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thanks, Ross, for having me on. Yeah, so I'm currently at Arizona State University on the women's soccer side. This is my 3rd season, full-time, just finished. Before that, so I actually got the job. I volunteered for 3 years. I was working for Phoenix Rising on the boys academy side with MLS Next boys at Phoenix Rising, which is in the local community here. And then I was volunteering at ASU. Obviously, we'll get to it a little bit later, but I came through the college pathway myself, and it's something that I really enjoyed being a part of. So when I moved to Arizona from Iowa, I wanted to stay involved in the college setup. So I started volunteering at ASU. And then as things happen, if you sort of put yourself in the right windows, then opportunities arise. And a job came up as an assistant, and I was thankfully offered it. And yeah, that's me. Been here 3 years now, and sort of never looked back. It's an amazing job that it's a pleasure to do every day, to be honest.
That sounds good. You head coach Graham Winkworth, part of a team there at ASU. So you're the role of assistant head coach. Then what does that all involve? And from a recruitment side, how much involvement do you have in that aspect of it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we actually just did a little bit of a realignment, I guess, a reevaluation. But yeah, so Coach Winkworth, he's the head coach. He sort of oversees everything, and then we have 3 full-time assistants. So now he's starting to branch us off into different areas. I am currently the head of recruitment in that side and the player development. Now I'm going to be actually sliding away from the recruitment shortly. We're bringing in another staff member. But yeah, so right now very heavily on the recruiting, and that looks for us. We have, so for example, going to Dallas this weekend. There's a big ECNL girls event there. So I'll be out there along with 200 other different coaches watching kids in America. But then we also recruit overseas, doing trips over to Europe at times as well, and all over the world, and also recruiting via videos online and emails we get, and through obviously agencies like yourself. It's basically non-stop, the recruiting world. You have each year you'll have certain positions you're trying to fill, but then things change, so there's always last minute things come up. Okay, now we need a centre back, whereas we needed a defensive midfielder before. Maybe in training we've moved positions around places, so now we're looking for certain players at certain times. So the recruiting is a big part of this role that I'm in, and it's non-stop. Even again, as I'm sliding away from the recruitment as sorts, I'm still going to be heavily involved because the whole staff is involved at different points in different areas.
And obviously, you're at one of the top universities in the country. Comes with a great reputation. We talked before the call just there about the facilities. So from a recruitment, you've got that aspect to show potential recruits. Working at one of the best programs in the country at D1 level. What level of player then would you be looking for in a potential recruit at the moment?
Yeah, great. That's another good question. I think we're looking for the best of the best, really. And by that I mean national team level players from America, from out with America, ideally from Arizona, but it's not always the case. Actually, the winner of the Herman Trophy, which is awarded to the best female soccer player in America, was this year awarded to a girl, Kate Fassey from Arizona. So if we can get those type of players every year, that would be great. However, she chose to go to North Carolina, which is an amazing school. So then we're trying to compete against those type of players. So we have to then open our bandwidth a little bit and look all over the world to find the very best players we can. We had a player last season, so was currently with us. She was a senior with us at the time, but she missed pre-season because she was playing in the World Cup, the full women's World Cup with New Zealand. So stuff like that, it's like we were sitting watching her. We just finished a session pre-season, and she's on TV playing against whoever she was playing against in the World Cup. So we're looking for the best of the best from wherever we can find them.
Yeah, very high level. And you talked there just about scouting at tournaments then. And I know, I think a few of the audience that will be on with us tonight will be playing in some of the tournaments that you guys are at. What would you be looking for from a player in a tournament, both, I guess, on the field and when they're potentially coming to speak to you off the field?
Yeah, so it's funny you asked that, so just put something together on that as we prepare for this weekend. But we have individual key performance indicators and player profiles per position. So when we're sitting on the sideline at this weekend, I've just made a sort of reference guide to, a fullback. What is she ticking these boxes for a fullback? If she's a centre forward, is she ticking these boxes for a centre forward? So we're looking for somebody that's going to fit into our style of play, in our game model. But then also looking for the intangibles as well. These are the things you don't see, like, is she a captain? These are little details. Obviously, the kids don't always control that, but then how is she acting with her teammates? What's she like with her coaches? How does she deal with adversity if they conceded a goal, if they score a goal? There's so many things go into it. And from a recruiting standpoint, you don't always get to see players, multiple occasions, so you're really looking for that one or two moments that really make you go, well, I've got to go watch this player again, because our time's limited, their time in front of coaches is limited. So it's a little details that can make kids stand out, both on the field for what they're doing and then how they interact in general.
Yeah, no, good advice there. Again, you touched upon the international players in your roster. Obviously, someone from New Zealand playing in a World Cup. So as you said, it's obviously a very high standard. Again, would you be speaking directly to academies? I know First Point work with a few of the pro academies over here in the UK and in the States. And I guess, how do you identify potential international recruits?
Yeah, again, there's probably multiple different reasons. There is straight to the source, straight to the academy. Find there. We'll go over these trips, create connections with different academies around the UK and around the world, really. And again, it's a bit like anything. It's kind of who you know. So when you go back to the same pipeline and people that you trust that are sending players that have been impactful, you go back there. Then also using recruitment agencies, the videos get sent to highlight videos. Often the highlight videos are that first piece. We'll watch the videos, and if you watch 2 minutes of it, you're not really like in awe of it, then that's maybe it, But then if you do watch 2 minutes of it and you're like, oh, I quite like what I'm seeing here, then it's like, hey, do you have a game film? Can you send us a full game? All right, can we get on a Zoom call? Can we talk about some things? Let's see your background a little bit and do the sort of all the holistic checks, I guess. But yeah, all different facets through straight to the academies, via recruitment agencies, via emails, in all different manners. Again, however we can do it, we'll try and do it.
Yeah, so there's a multitude of routes in there. And a question that always comes up, and I should have said at the start, if anybody does have any questions that you're keen to ask, just pop them in the chat box, and we'll try and get a few of them asked towards the end of the webinar. A typical day in the life of an ASU women's soccer student athlete, what would that look like? And does that vary from the kind of fall season to spring?
It's funny you ask that, because that's a question when we're doing recruiting talks. That's the one thing that always comes up as well. And we actually, and I can send it over to you, Ross, after, and you can send it out. But our player that was at the World Cup with New Zealand, they came in, like New Zealand Sky Sports came in and did like a day in the life of her. So it's like 8 minutes long or something. So I can send that to you and you can show that. But what that will look like for us generally in off season and season, it doesn't change that much. Again, we're fortunate where we are in a couple of reasons. That one, we have the weather, so we're training outdoors all year round. We're not having to fight for space indoors or go on the AstroTurf or anything like that. We have a grass field that's immaculate all 12 months of the year. So how it looks normally is we'll have film at 8 a.m. So if the girls need to get any prehab or stuff done, they'll come in and they'll get that done before. I'll be setting up training. We'll do film at 8 a.m. every morning. Then we'll train at 8:30. We'll usually be done around 10-ish, give or take, depending on the season. We'll do some set piece stuff that might run over a little bit. And then after that, depending on the day, two times a week during the season, 3 times in the off season, the team will go for the strength and conditioning, which again is walk across the car park, so it's right there. They're not having to travel anywhere. Everything's in the one spot. Strength and conditioning, and then after that they can get their protein shake. They can get their lunch at the nutrition bar again, right there, and then that'll be them done with us usually around 11:30 or so. At the moment we're doing individual meetings with every player as well in the spring, so they'll meet for 15 minutes with me every week, each going over individual film. We use the spring as a developmental period to where we can do that a little bit more in the fall. It's definitely more geared towards the games and it's thick and fast, so we're focusing on that. But then any time sort of after 12, we ask them to schedule their classes for any time after 12. Again, the luxury we have at ASU, I think there's 150,000 students or something at ASU, so it's a really big institution. And then because of that, there's over 60 different English classes for the one class. English 101, there's 60 different classes, so we're fortunate in the sense that we can do everything we need before 12 and they can schedule all their classes after 12 and there'll never really be any conflicts, which is a benefit for sure.
Yeah, so the players have got that flexibility. And you obviously play in a highly competitive conference. You're up against some of the top teams in the Big 12. Just how good is the standard of soccer that you're playing at the moment, and have you seen that improve in the time that you've been there?
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It really is. I think, and again, like I just mentioned, the games in the fall come thick and fast, but it's such a high level. So the preparation that goes into these games, you can't even imagine what's going on behind the scenes, and then a lot of these games are decided by the finest of margins. As the amount of 1-goal games are ridiculous either way. And set pieces or penalties or somebody slips or you're building out and you pass the wrong. The margins are so thin at this level, and we're playing against players week in week out that are pros the next year or they're going to World Cups and they're here. What's her face? Naomi Gurma just broke the record as the world's record transfer fee for a woman. She played against ASU 4 years ago for Stanford at our place. So you're really competing against the best that are out there, and we're trying to compete with that. So every game is a battle, and it's the thinnest margins. One year, the COVID year, we beat Stanford, UCLA, and USC in the same year, which we'd never done before. And again, if you look at the sort of names on those teams, it's Sophia Smith and it's Naomi Gurma and it's Katrina Macario, all playing World Cups, Champions Leagues, and so yeah, it's a fantastic level, and players that want to be at the top of the game.
Yeah, and it must be great from your side going and watching these players progressing, whether it's through your own program or players that you've come up against, as you say, a couple of years later, been seen in World Cups and Champions League. So very much a stepping stone to the top level of the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, we have our former captain from last year, speaking of Champions League, plays for FC20, and she scored against Celtic actually this year in the Champions League. And they were in a group it was FC20, Real Madrid, Chelsea, and Celtic. Yeah. So again, she went from playing with us literally last year, and now she's playing against Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Celtic in the Champions League. So
yeah, just highlights
the
standards. And I guess where you are, you're going to be doing a lot of traveling to games. How difficult is that? Particularly for a freshman coming in and maybe experiencing that for the first time. Does that place a lot of demands on the players when you've obviously got to balance your academic side of it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. It's a lot of pressure. It really is. I mean, if we're playing a Thursday, Sunday on the road, we'll leave Wednesday, we'll travel to wherever we're playing on the Thursday. So we'll leave the Wednesday, play the Thursday, we'll leave wherever we are on the Friday to go to the next place. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, play the Sunday, and then fly back the Sunday night. So we're gone from Wednesday morning. We try and get practice in and then leave, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're flying straight there from Wednesday all the way through Sunday. So it's four or 5 days. It's a big time away. And we when we're on the road, we'll have study time. I'm sure a lot of the teams will be the same. But when we're on the road, we'll have designated time where the students take care of that business, and we'll sit on it and make sure they don't need anything. But it's a lot on them. But they have to deal with it. I think that's something you sort of sign up for when you decide to be a student athlete, that the student piece must come first. But there is going to be moments where it's going to be difficult to get it in, and you have to find a way, which I guess is a good learning moment for everyone, really.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, we talked off camera just before about the facilities, and you're obviously blessed with slightly better weather than what you might have been used to back in Falkirk back in the day. But you've got some incredible facilities, I guess, all over campus. Just tell the audience what the facilities that the soccer program has to offer.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone watched the Super Bowl last night. Obviously, a big event here. But our grounds crew at ASU are actually hired by the Super Bowl, by the NFL.
Wow.
So they were doing the grounds crew for the Super Bowl last night. They also do it when they go to London and they go to Munich and all those games. They fly the ASU grounds crew over to take care of the playing surface. So
best of the best then.
That's sort of what we're dealing with, and I love it. I love just being on the grass, and even after training's finished, you just sit there and it's like a carpet. I don't know how lucky we actually. And again, because where we live, it's extremely warm in the summer, so we have access to an indoor dome, which is an indoor turf field facility. We've got turf field facilities, so if we're playing against Oregon or Cincinnati, for example, who play on turf, we'll practice on the turf the Monday, Tuesday before we leave for that. But 9 times out of 10, we're on our own practice field. We've got all the different lines on it that are important for our style of play, and we'll train there. We play on the game field that we'll train on the day before the game, and then play on. But otherwise, we won't touch that. So it's immaculate. And then we've got our weightlifting facility, which again just across the car park, and anything you could need in terms of recovery, the ice baths, the cold baths. We've got a pool, obviously outside pool. So when players are doing any sort of rehab stuff, they can do the pool. Or recovery sessions. Sometimes our strength and conditioning coach will take them in the pool. We also, again, the beauty of being an institution this size is the amount of resources we have in terms of staff. So we have a full-time strength and conditioning coach. We have a full-time dietitian. We have a full-time sports psychologist. So as coaches, in a way, we are not having to do things that maybe aren't in our wheelhouse. We can trust the professionals in that sense to do that stuff. And
you obviously got some other great sports programs, athletic programs on campus. Is there much interaction between the coaches, so you guys are kind of learning from each other, but also the athletes themselves between the different teams?
Yes to both. From a coaching perspective, always we have monthly meetings, which are all staff meetings, which have a different viewpoint each month, but then there's interaction there. But then even offline, we went out last week for the women's volleyball team had a very successful season last season. They won the Big 12. So we went out for lunch with the coaching staff and just sort of picked their brains, like, look, what are you guys doing? Where did this come from? How did you get there? And similarly, they came out to our practice session in the fall, and so there's a lot of back and forth. From a student perspective, we have training tables, so 3 times a week, all the student athletes will eat together in the football stadium. They put the football facilities. Our facilities are great. The football facilities are like
another level.
So they host all the student athletes 3 times a week in the football stadium for their meal. So again, they all interact and eat together and get to know each other from that standpoint.
Brilliant. We've talked about some of the highly rated players that you've obviously seen and worked with. From the kind of best players that you've had and on the roster, what attributes, obviously having that ability level is key, but What would you say the other attributes are that set those players apart and maybe stand them out from the rest?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think so. I'll go to our current team right now and I'll look at two of the top players that we have right now. We have our goalkeeper, Pauline, is a German under-20 internationalist. I think she saved, she played the U20 World Cup a couple of years ago, and she saved 3 penalties in the final of the U17 Euros as they won it. And she's incredible. And what she brings to the table, it's funny because I think in sports in general, in football in general, but especially in female sports, there is a piece of anxiety that comes along with it. The girls, they care so much and they want to do so well, which then you can almost sometimes tip overboard and they get too caught up in their mind. Whereas she is the most laid back person ever. But because of that, her technical ability, especially with her feet, any type of rondo stuff, she's the best player in there, and she's a goalkeeper. She's not the goalkeeper that's letting down the passing drill. She's the one that's making it better because she's so comfortable with the ball at her feet, and she'll take it. And we'll spend hours before practice, after practice, just doing juggling competitions, one touch. Who's going to let it down first, me or her? And it's a tough game, let me tell you that. So there's that piece that I think that brings out the quality in her. But then also our centre forward right now just been called up to the Canada U20 national team. She's a freshman, and she was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year last year. And she'll stay back after every training session, and she'll take 50 penalties, and she'll say, "Hey, Ross, can you stay back with me? I want to do some one-touch finishing, or hey, can I do some off a bounce, off a cross?" And very determined, very focused, laser focused on what she wants, how she's going to get there, and the work that she's going to do to put it in. So I think too, a little bit contrasting styles there, but I think you've got to be authentic to yourself to get the best out yourself. Pauline, our goalkeeper, if we were on at her all day to do more, it probably wouldn't be the best thing for her or for the team, because then she would find a little bit of resentment. But then KB, the striker, if we weren't pushing her enough, then she's not going to get to where she wants to go and what she wants to do. So I think finding out what best ticks your boxes and what gets you going at your best self is important.
Now, two good examples there, thank you, and obviously two good role models for the other players to follow. Again, we'll kind of come on now to talk about your own playing career a little bit and your own journey. And from someone who's maybe at the start of that journey then, or potentially working with First Point, they're maybe looking at kind of options. What advice would you give to someone at those kind of two stages, starting with someone who's maybe thinking about college soccer?
The first thing I would say is do it. I got some great advice when I was in the position that these guys are in right now, and I got a little bit of background on me. I was at Falkirk. I got released at 16, 17. I was full time at Falkirk for a year. I went to St Johnstone full time for a year. I was living in digs up there, and be honest with you, I'm a big homeboy. So I was living in digs at St Johnstone. Not that it was a bad experience, but I just missed Falkirk. So then I'd moved home and I was playing with Stirling Albion, and I was quite happy. I was quite happy being at home. I was enjoying what I was doing. I was enjoying my football. And then this opportunity came up, and I was hesitant because I'd been moved away from home. Overall, it was just a Perth, but it wasn't the best experience for me. But I think it was my dad. I can't remember. Maybe my dad was like, "Look, go in August. Go till December, and if you don't like it, you come home. Nobody's keeping you there. Nobody's doing anything like that. So go see what it's like, and you know what, if you enjoy it, you might want to go back." And it's 14 and a half years later, and I'm still somehow here. So
you must enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest piece of advice. If you're hesitant, because I was certainly hesitant, but go and test the waters, because it might not be for you. It was for me. It might not be for others, but you don't know if you don't try, and you would hate to have regrets down the line that I wish I had the chance to go to America when I was 18 and I thought about it and I didn't. And there's different circumstances, but that would be the big thing for me. Go do it. Go when you are picking where you're going. Be selective with it. Know what's important to you. Are you looking for a big town? Are you looking for a small town? Are you looking for, again, when I was picking, I was like, there was 4 other Scottish players on the team. There was 2 English guys. I was like, there's a familiarity there for me, which was important at the time. I went to Des Moines, Iowa, which many people won't know it, but it's the capital of Iowa, so it's a sizable city. I think somewhere like a Glasgow, Edinburgh. So it's not like I'm in the middle of nowhere, because that was important to me as well. But some people like that. So yeah, I think being aware of where you're going, what you're doing before you go, but also when the push comes to shove, if you have a chance to try and take it, at least for a period of time until you can decide.
Yeah, it's obviously worked out well for you, given the time that you've been out in the States. And I suppose playing at the level that you did, both with Falkirk and St Johnstone, I'm guessing you might have had other options to stay in Scotland. Is that, again, we work with quite a few academies. We've had players, both male and female, who've been with academies who maybe looked at kind of lower league teams as an option to kind of maybe turn professional. But if someone, again, in the audience is at that level and you've got that decision to make, what would your advice be on that front? Obviously, again, maybe following your own route.
Yeah, I would say similar. Again, I think the good thing about Scottish football or academy football, it's always going to be there. So if you want to try something, try it, and if it doesn't work out, there's going to be a pathway for you anyway that's known, that's been there for a long time. Funnily, a little bit after my 4 years, again, you get your 4 years to play. After my 4 years, I was hell bent on going home to play. So the way it works is I graduated in like the April time, but the end of season in Scotland's not until sort of end of May. So I was home in April. I was like, well, I need to be playing. So I played for Bo'ness juniors for like 6 weeks. And at that point of the year, because of the winter's so rough, that point of the year, we were playing like Monday, Thursday, Sunday. It was like all these games back to back to back, which was great. But then I was like playing in an unfamiliar position, and I was asked to do different roles, and the wind was blowing sideways and the rain was blowing sideways. And I was like, I had this vision of I'm going to go home and I'm going to, and this is all going to work out. And it just was like,
yes.
This is just not what I thought it would be. Well, I was sort of waiting to then go try and find a club in the summer to go play. And I just like, so then I jumped back at the chance to come back. I went to Texas to start coaching effectively at that moment. But it was a moment where I was like going back and forth a little bit, and I was like, I had it in my mind that I was always going to go back and play. But it turns out in my circumstance that it was better for me to be over here and try and create a career that way.
Yeah, bit of a sliding doors moment then, by the sounds of it.
A little bit, yeah, no, for sure. I didn't realise it at the time, but definitely.
Yeah. So you played for Grandview University for 4 years, a successful 4 years with some very good achievements there, getting through to the NAIA tournament and getting All-American honours as well. For someone maybe looking at different options now, and I guess everyone tends to focus on maybe the D1 schools. You obviously went NIA. Is that a route that, if that was an option for some of the audience, is that a route that you would recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you see the D1 logo and all that, and big shiny label type thing, and there might be certain perks that come with that NAIA can't replicate, but in general, absolutely. If you get the opportunity, I loved every single moment at Grandview University. It was a terrific time. Like I said, I went there. We had, 4 Scottish guys and 3 Irish guys and English guys and German guys and Polish guys, and it was just it was a great time. It was a great learning environment for me. My freshman year, again, I was 18, 19, coming from Scotland. I played centre back, and I played centre back alongside a 27-year-old guy from Norway. He was 6'7", so it was sort of me and him. I'm 5'11", so it was a bit of a little and large centre back partnership, but it was brilliant. And then our attacking midfielder was from Brazil, and he was sensational. I'd never played with anyone that good before, playing at NAIA, and again being in the youth academies in Premier League in Scotland. But it was just that everyone, not cookie cutter, but everyone's kind of similar. Whereas this Brazilian guy was totally different to anything I'd ever seen before, and the things that he could do. Maybe his work rate wouldn't have cutted it so much in Scotland, but when you give him the ball and he starts nutmegging people for fun, it was a bit like, wow, let's give this guy the ball. Let me do the running around kicking people, and we'll give him the ball and let him play. So yeah, no, I couldn't speak highly enough of it. The standard was great, the experiences, the opportunities, again, like you mentioned, the national tournaments. Yeah, amazing. Don't don't turn down any opportunity because you think that this is not for me. I would definitely advise that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well as being a successful player on the field, you obviously did very well academically. I think you've got three degrees, is it now? Your two masters as well. That must be some element that comes naturally to you. But how difficult when you were a player did you find the balance? Again, this is something that we get asked a lot: the balance between academics and playing, and you've touched upon it already, but I guess just to make people aware of the requirement to kind of keep focusing on your studies as well as your playing and training.
Yeah, I'm going to say two things to this one, because first of all, I was growing up, I was never really that academic. Again, I left school at 15 to go to Falkirk, so I didn't really have much behind me. All I wanted to do when I was in high school was just play football. I just wanted to play for Falkirk, and that was going to be my life. But then quickly things come around, and that obviously wasn't my scenario anymore. I got released from Falkirk, I got released from St Johnstone, and I'm sitting there like, wow, like what do I do now, type thing. So I was fortunate, because it's important as well in terms of getting eligible to go to school in America. I was fortunate that when I was at St Johnstone, we had a day release at college on a Wednesday, so we did like a college course on a Wednesday, and by staying in education, that allowed me to get into college in America. So I didn't have the opportunity to go to universities in Scotland. I didn't have the qualification, so it was sort of not a last chance, but it was a second chance, really. And I think that was a sliding doors moment in itself for me. Like, okay, this is a second chance. You've got an education here. Like, take advantage of it, use it. So from that point, it became something in a sort of ingrained in a personality to go, okay, this is important. You better take care of this thing. It's something that my parents have been telling me for years. I just wasn't listening until I got to the point where it hit home. So that'd be the first thing. The second thing, from a coaching standpoint, and this might not be everywhere, but certainly here, there seems to be a correlation between people that are good in the classroom, people that are good on the field, people that show up ready to play, that, the fitness tests, all that stuff. The people that show up and smash the fitness tests are often the ones that have got the best grades in school. They're often the ones that train the hardest. There's definitely a profile, a character profile there that fits. And if you want to succeed in life, you want to succeed in, they call it the student athlete, and the sort of triangle of your student, your athletic piece, and your social piece. If you want to succeed in all three, you have to be able to work hard. You have to be able to get it done, because otherwise you end up failing in all three, and that's what no one wants. So yeah, I certainly think there's a correlation between people that take care of stuff in school versus what they're doing on the park.
That's good. Again, good advice for everybody there. And once you graduated, you've obviously gone into coaching, as quite a few athletes that we've worked with do. Is that something again that you see as a part of the attraction for playing college soccer, the sort of coaching opportunities in the States that come about? Obviously, soccer is a massive industry now out there, whether on the college side or the club side. It's obviously a good avenue to pursue if you have kind of got that soccer talent behind you, as well as the qualifications.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned it there, but the industry, especially in America, the industry is incredible. For anyone that hasn't witnessed it or seen it, I mean, I'm going to go to this event this weekend, the CCNL event, and there's going to be over 200 colleges represented, with maybe 3 or 4 coaches from each school. I mean, you're talking like 1,000 coaches on the sidelines. So you'll go to a game and there's, like seats upon seats of just coaches with making notes. And yeah, the industry's amazing, and then there's all the club coaches that are there at the same event. Yeah, it's massive. And I think, again, going back to what I said, when growing up, I was never really that into school that much until I got off this opportunity. But then it was also a case of when I graduated, I was like, I don't really want to do a 9 to 5. It's not really in my personality. It's not in my persona. So being able to, again, like we train 8:30 every morning, Monday to Friday, and games at the weekend, and you're out there, the sun's shining, you're on the grass, and it's a bit of a pinch me, like, wow, this is what a job. How did I wind up doing this all this time? So yeah, absolutely. The opportunities it's incredible. It really is.
Absolutely. And you've had 3 years coaching then at ASU, successful years. What would be the highlight for you so far? And second to that, what are the ambitions over the next couple of seasons then for you and the team?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, from a sheer sort of black and white standpoint, obviously making back-to-back national tournaments. We've been to 3 of the last 4, which is good. We didn't make it last year with a down season last season, so which at the time is you're frustrated and it's negative, but then also gives you a bit of a like, all right, let's get back to work type deal, and you sort of roll the sleeves up a bit and go again. So future is looking to get to national tournaments in advance, as far as we can. But in terms of like highlight, it's going to be a bit of a flaky answer here, but I think just the day to day. Honestly, I think I love training. I love being out there every day. You're in an environment where people want to be the best version of themselves, and you're able to push people. But at the same time, there's an enjoyment piece there. When somebody scores a goal and there's a celebration, and again, it's football at the end of the day, and you just enjoy. I think trying to be present in that moment is what I've been focused on over the last couple of years, and it's bear fruits for me. The daily grind, I guess, probably has been the highlight, which is a weird thing to say, but it's definitely true in this case.
Yeah, no, I think that passion for the role certainly shines through in a lot of your answers. So great to hear. And then I guess there'll be a lot of people in the shoes that you were in those years ago, maybe thinking about the States then. What would be the highlight of your playing career as a student athlete when you're at Grandview then?
Yeah, again, amazing. The whole thing from start to finish was great. It's tough to look at moments. 1 year, I think my junior year, so my third year, I can't remember when it was, but it was in November time, and we'd had a good season at that point. I think we'd maybe lost one game or like 18-1 or something. We're doing really well, and we were beating I think we'd beat the number 3 team in the nation. We beat the number 5 team in the nation, and we were sort of flirting around that 2-3, and we were playing a game away from home in Omaha. And my roommate right now, actually, I live with in Phoenix, he scored a late goal to win the game. And we got on the bus after the game, and we'd found out that the team that was the number 1 team currently in the nation had lost, and we were the number 2. So then we were going to jump them to be the quote unquote best team in the country. So that was a bit of an individual highlight. So then we sort of enjoyed that, I think, too much for a couple of weeks. But it was a really great period. I think also in the NAIA you play, so the national tournament, there's it may have changed now. I'm not up to date with it, but it was I think it was like a last 32. It was like the first round, and then the final 16 teams meet in one place. So that last 32 game was almost like your ticket to go to Florida or Alabama or somewhere nice and hot when Iowa in the winter was cold. And we had some great games there. We scored a couple of last-minute winners, and just to get into the last 16 in the official way, the national tournament, just some of those moments, just the sheer euphoria of the winning the games at the end and being with your teammates and going and enjoying being with each other. And I think I was a centre back in my senior year. We won the national tournament first round game, and I've got pictures at the end of the game, and I had like a bleeding nose. I don't know where it came from. I just caught up in the excitement or what. But so yeah, I think just those moments are, again, it's tough to realise at the time, but looking back, it was just fun times with good people doing what you love.
Yeah, and I guess you'll still be in touch with a lot of your teammates that you played with back then. You guys all have formed a strong bond over those 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see, again, speaking of coaching, that some of them are coaching now, so I'll go to this event this weekend, I'll bump into 3 or 4 of them. Some of them are college coaches, some of them are club coaches, some of them are back home in Scotland. They've got a wife, got kids, got family, doing their thing. People are all over the place, and it's interesting, again, 10 years or so from graduation, just like what people are doing, where they are, and how you're able just to connect. When you see each other again, it's like you never left, and you can reminisce of the good old days,
Brilliant. Okay, that's great. That's kind of concluded the questions that we had for you initially, and we've got a couple of questions that we'll have time for on the chat. And again, one that comes up quite a lot when we're speaking to coaches, and we always get good answers. What would your tips be when you have that initial call with a coach that's shown interest in you, Ross?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think like highlight videos and stuff are important. I think the way that you frame the communication is important. And I hope most of the people will have heard this sort of stuff, but please don't, if you're reaching out to ASU, put in the Arizona coach's name, the little things like that, or the UCLA coach's name. It's just, again, you're probably going to reach out to a bunch of coaches, absolutely. We're watching a lot of players, that's the reality of things, but having that little personal touch is always good. You'll see people that go on and say, oh, hey, I was able to watch this game, I really enjoyed what you did there, or hey, I saw you got people that were named Big 12 Freshman of the Year, that was good. So I think any personal details you can add in the initial piece is good. But then again, just making your highlight tapes things that stand out about you. It's a little bit tough at times, especially for myself. I felt in the moment, and I'm sure a lot of young people feel the same way, but it's tough to sort of big yourself up a little bit. It's not that natural to a lot of people, but in these scenarios, you have to do it. You have to do it if you want to get to what you want to do. So, for sure.
Yeah. Good to hear. One question, we've spoken a lot in other webinars, again, just about the transfer portal. So what opportunities are now created by the transfer portal if you're looking to potentially transfer to a top program like yourselves?
Yeah, I think the transfer portal as well, there's a bit of a sort of negative stigma attached to it, but it's not like that at all. It's similar to what I said earlier on. If you want to go somewhere for 6 months and decide to go home, that's fine. And it's similar in the transfer portal. If you go somewhere and for whatever reason that's not the fit for you, then that's fine. There is somewhere else that can be a good fit for you. And we're the same. If we bring a player in that ends up not being a good fit for us, then that's fine. They find a new home, and it's better for everyone. It's better for them that they find a new home where they can succeed, and then we can replace someone. So yeah, I wouldn't be scared of the transfer portal. Obviously, being extremely considerate to the college or the team that you're on. I think that even when dealing with people in the transfer portal, we'll bring transfers in to speak to them, and if they start like bashing their current coach right away, then it's a little bit of a red flag. So I think being considerate of where you're at and where you've been, and being honest about maybe why it didn't work out there or what you're looking for in a change, then yeah, absolutely, the transfer portal can be of huge benefit.
Yeah. A good question. You touched upon one of your goalkeepers previously. What would you look for in an aspiring goalkeeper that you were looking for your roster?
Yeah, and this will come down again. I'll speak for us specifically, but this will come down again to individual, coaches and playing styles. We want our goalkeeper to fundamentally be able to keep the ball in the net, absolutely, but also the goalkeeper will probably in our team make 80 more passes in a game than she will saves. So being able to take the ball at our feet is massive. Again, we're getting to a point in the game where there's a lot of like man-to-man presses. So the free player often is a goalkeeper. So if we want a goalkeeper that's able to be that free player, or we end up getting stuck. So I'd say that's a big thing for us. Again, differs from team to team, different playing styles, different philosophies. But we want a goalkeeper that's very, very comfortable to take the ball in any situation. But then obviously we'll make decisions based on that and not just going to put the team in harm. But then also someone that can be commanding, that can come for crosses, all the normal things. Somebody that has a good physical attributes as well. Our goalkeeper right now, I think she's like 5'9", 5'10", and yeah, she can come for crosses. She can kick the ball long if we have to go long if their team's pressing up. He's just a bit of an all-rounder, really, but with certain attributes, especially from a communication organisation standpoint, that can make you stand out.
Yeah. And then academically, what would be the requirements for again a top university like yourselves? I mean, it's obviously not an easy place to get into, but what would be the kind of requirements your admissions team would be looking for?
Yeah, so ASU actually kind of nice in a way that it tries to be the president we have right now, Dr. Crow. He tries to be as inclusive as possible. So he wants students to be able to get into ASU. So the initial requirements aren't massive. However, we do have an honours college, which is one of the best. It's the best public honours college in the country. So for those that are high academics, you can go to ASU with the 150,000 students, but then there's also the Barrett Honours College, which has got 10,000 students, where you're going to get an Ivy League level education. So again, the benefit of being such a big institution is being able to do a little bit of both. However, I will say that from like a scholarship standpoint and all that sort of stuff, being high academics certainly helps us out from a soccer standpoint. We're able maybe sometimes to stack scholarships or help in that sense academically, can maybe get you a few extra dollars that may help you in the long run.
Yeah, good. Again, another positional question that I'll ask, and we'll stick to your own position of central defender. Then what would you be looking for in a central defender who could come onto your team and add value?
The opposite of me, I think we're trying to find. No, I think that's a good question again, and we have player profiles, we have key performance indicators. So after every game, we'll have an analyst that will get the Y Scout report, which is all the data basically from the game, and we'll sit down and we'll put the report into form. So our centre backs will get a report after the game saying, hey, your KPI is to play 60% of your passes forward. It's to complete 83% of your passes. It's to win 64% of your aerial duels. It's to win 73% of your overall challenges. So they'll get that after each game. So that'd be the main thing for us, really. It's as simple as it sounds, but we want people, again, that can take the ball under pressure. Again, if you're talking about building out and finding a sort of free player, like, again, the centre-back's often that player as well. If the striker starts to press the goalkeeper, now the centre-back becomes a free player. So they have to be comfortable with the ball. But then they also have to be able to do the defensive duties as well. Can they attack the ball in the air? Something in the women's game that we can certainly build upon. Aerial challenges. Again, what is the physical profile? Like I spoke earlier on about the importance and value of set pieces. So we want to have players that are good in set piece situations. So sometimes when we're making subs, it will be like, okay, we'll make her sub, but then now we're maybe too short at corner kicks, or maybe we don't have the right personnel that are good in the air to go win corner kicks. So maybe the substitution pattern change a little bit. So there's a lot of factors and a lot of facets that go into it, but definitely being comfortable in the ball, but then definitely being able to go and assert yourself dominantly as a centre back. Yeah.
That's great. Hopefully that's answered that question for you, Molly. And then just final question. Again, we kind of talked about academies and working with pro teams. Would you have to play for a top academy to get into a top Division 1 school?
I wouldn't say necessarily. I don't think. I think it would help. Again, I'll speak from example in America. A lot of then there's data out there on this that backs us up. But a lot of the players that play in Division 1 college soccer on the women's side, 80% of them have played in the ECNL. 17% of them have played in the girls' academy, and then there's like 3 or 4% that have come from anywhere else. So it can be done for sure, absolutely. If you're not playing in a top academy, don't lose hope. But I think it definitely does help in a general sense to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much. I know there's a few other questions, but I know you've got a busy day ahead of you, Ross. So we'll not keep you any longer. I think you're doing some recruiting or some recruitment activities later on today. So I think hopefully everybody has enjoyed that discussion. I think we had some really good insights and answers, and both talking from Ross's coaching experience and his own playing experience for those of you that are tuning in from maybe the UK or internationally, just talking about Ross's journey and his strong advice for giving it a go, I think would resonate with a lot of you. So we really appreciate your time, Ross, this afternoon for you. Thanks very much for sharing those insights. For those who maybe came through the webinar kind of halfway through, whatever, everybody who's registered for this, we'll share a recording of it. It'll also be on our YouTube channel for any of the bits that you missed, and we'll put a few snippets out on social media. I think Ross also mentioned the kind of day in the life of film from the New Zealand player who was lucky enough to play in the World Cup, which would be great as well. So we'll share that with you. So thanks very much for joining. Any questions, again, if you've got additional questions for First Point, please get in touch. If you've got a talent manager, or fire them through on our social channels as well. We'll try and get back to you. So thanks again, Ross. Appreciate your time, and best of luck with your continued success at ASU.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.